Greetings, First Parish family, friends, and fans. Welcome to our weekly update for Friday, November 8th, 2024. News that you can use, hopefully, in a flash. Obviously, I want to begin with a statement about this week that we are all experiencing. And we all know that this has been a difficult week. Because we are a deeply divided nation. We've known that for generations, that we're divided. Most of our national elections come down to being, split almost 50-50. And so, but we are deeply divided by anger and divisive rhetoric and fear, and that's intentional. The people that organize political campaigns know that fear and anger are motivating factors to get people to the polls to vote. And so the problem is that rhetoric doesn't go away the day after the election. The fear doesn't go away the day after the election. It lingers and it builds. And it lingers and it builds, and the way that we communicate with one another becomes still as hostile and even more hostile than before. Because the people that won gloat, and the people that lost get angry. And then it builds and builds and builds until the next cycle. When the next campaign taps into that anger, taps into that fear, that residual fear that we're still feeling from the last time. What we need to do is we need to find a path forward. We need to find a path forward where we can come together as neighbors, where we can come together as communities. But it's hard to come together. It's hard to heal when we can't even speak to one another civilly. It's hard to come together when we speak about the other rather than speaking to the other. It's hard to find common ground when we aren't willing to acknowledge that the other people might have valid feelings and ideas and thoughts. So we have to find a path forward. We have to find a way to put our anger aside and turn it into something else, something that is positive, that will motivate us to work harder to come together. In the meantime, we as a church family will continue to love our neighbors. We will continue to serve our neighbors. We will continue to welcome our neighbors. So anyone who feels lost, or anyone who feels threatened, or anyone who feels vulnerable will find a place of refuge here, will find a place of sanctuary here. This is a difficult time, but we've always faced challenges in the past. And I hope and I pray that we will find a way to seek a path of healing, to seek a path of kindness, to seek a path forward where we seek the common good. And now let me toss it to our worship report. Welcome to our worship report for this Sunday, November 10th. The early service of the Sacred Conversation this week is going to be led by my mother, Reverend Jan Hernevitz. They gather at 8:30 a.m. upstairs on the upper level in the chapel space. She's going to be focusing on a message that we all need to hear about being grateful. And so do join her upstairs, again, at 8:30 a.m. on Sunday for that. The 10 o'clock service I will be leading. We will be returning to the Gospel of Mark, and we'll be looking at that little story at the end of chapter 12 when Jesus sits outside the treasury and watches the widow put those 2 copper coins into the treasury. So that's what we'll be focusing on in that service. And now let me toss it right away to our church life report. And now welcome to our church life report. This Saturday, tomorrow, is our next Bean Supper, and so we gather together as a community to serve our community from 5 to 6:30, a traditional Bean Supper of beans and hot dogs and macaroni and cheese and bread and coleslaw, all that good stuff. 5 o'clock to 6:30. If you want to be part of the Bean team and come down and help set up and serve, come on down to about 4 o'clock. This will be our last Bean Supper for a while because we take a little break during the holidays, but also Sue is hanging up her apron, so we're going to put the Bean Suppers to bed for a little bit. So come on down for Bean Supper tomorrow evening and be part of that fellowship. Speaking of serving the community, we've got a lot of that happening in November. Saturday, November 23rd, we're going to host a Red Cross blood drive from 9 a.m. to 1:45 p.m. So come on down and donate. Go onto the Red Cross website and schedule your donation slot. We'll be serving dinner to the folks at Seeds of Hope on Sunday, November 24th. We're going to gather after worship to cook and prepare the meal, then bring it over to the folks at Seeds of Hope that evening. And also we'll be serving at Bon Appetit on Friday, November 29th. I'll give you time of that as it gets closer. But lots of opportunities for us to love and to serve our neighbors this month. All right, everyone, God bless you. May God hold you gently in his hands this week.